Welcome back to Investing Talk podcast. Today we're tackling a really specific, high-stakes question. It's about a company right at the heart of the U.S. critical minerals push. Is ioneer a good time to buy now? Now, this company, focused entirely on its Rhyolite Ridge lithium boron project out in Nevada, well, it's not your typical stock pick. It's a direct bet, really, on the future of the domestic battery supply chain. Its success is tied up with government support, yes, but also just flawless project execution. It feels kind of binary, huge potential reward, but significant risk, too. We need to unpack where that balance sits today. Before we get into the nitty-gritty, though, if you find this analysis valuable, please do hit subscribe, like the show, and maybe drop a comment below. And hey, if there's another company you'd like us to look into next time, let us know that too.
Yeah, that framing is spot on. With ioneer, you kind of have to toss the standard valuation playbook out the window. It's not like evaluating a tech giant or a consumer staple. For a development stage resource company like this, the market is basically pricing in future value. We're talking the value of the stuff in the ground, the odds they actually get it built, and, the timing of key catalysts. Resource scale and government backing are really paramount here. So let's start with the fundamentals, the financial reality. What is ioneer right now?
Well, it's what we call a pre-revenue developer. Plain and simple. They aren't selling anything yet. Their whole game is getting Rhyolite Ridge up and running.
Okay, pre-revenue means no money coming in, but money definitely going out, right? They must be spending on development. So how much cash are they burning through, and what does that tell us about their likely timeline? It tells us they're doing the necessary and, expensive work. As of October 2025, their trailing 12-month net income is negative, around minus $9.8 million USD. Now, that figure isn't a red flag in itself. It's the unavoidable cost of engineering studies, getting permits, developing the site, all that pre-production stuff. It just confirms they're spending cash to push the project towards that point where it starts making money. The revenue inflection point, as they say.
Right, and that cash burn immediately brings up the next big question, future funding. Even with strategic importance, they'll need more capital to get from, say, construction to actually operating commercially.
Oh, absolutely. It's a very capital-intensive business they're in. Getting the rest of that funding package sorted, completing the capital stack, is crucial. But here's a really key point about their financial resilience, something that sets ioneer apart from maybe some other early-stage miners. They have basically no material debt outstanding.
Wait, really? A pre-revenue mining hopeful sitting on this huge strategic asset with almost no debt. That sounds, well, pretty stable comparatively.
It is. It adds a significant layer of stability. It means they're relying on selling equity stock and specific project financing deals. This shields them somewhat from short-term market jitters and rising interest rates that can really hurt developers loaded up with debt. If there's a permitting delay, they aren't immediately staring down bankruptcy or some horrible refinancing deadline. That zero debt stance, it's a pretty good shock absorber for a volatile small cap like this.
And what's the market valuing them at right now, with that in mind?
The current market capitalization is hovering around $198.9 million USD. So it's still definitely in small cap territory.
Okay, so let's pivot now from the costs to the actual asset value, because this is where it shifts from risk to potentially massive reward. The whole value proposition hinges on how much stuff they actually have in the ground, and they had some huge news on that front recently, didn't they?
Monumental is probably the right word.
Yeah, they announced a 168% increase in the estimated lithium resources at Rhyolite Ridge. Now that sounds technical, but what does boosting your resource base by over 2/3 actually mean for an investor?
It's a total game changer, really. It massively expands the potential mine life, the total amount of lithium and boron they can eventually pull out. This upgrade really cements Rhyolite Ridge as one of the biggest lithium boron deposits in North America. So when analysts update their financial models, they're suddenly plugging in many more years of production. That drastically increases the project's theoretical total value, its net present value. It just fundamentally re-rates the company's potential.
Okay, so the resource is huge. What about competition? What's their edge?
Well, that brings us to their competitive moat. A big part of it is that Rhyolite Ridge is a dual resource project. They're not just mining lithium, they're mining boron too.
Boron! How does that help? I mean, isn't lithium the main prize here?
Lithium is definitely the star, especially with EVs. But boron is a really important industrial mineral used in glass, ceramics, detergents, lots of things. Most lithium projects, they live and die by the lithium price, which can be incredibly volatile, as we know. By producing boron alongside lithium, ioneer gets this second, potentially more stable revenue stream. That boron income can help offset production costs and kind of smooth out the project's overall economics. It adds resilience if lithium prices hit a rough patch.
That dual resource angle is interesting,
Yeah.
but you mentioned government backing earlier. That seems like the other pillar of their strategic value, especially with the big push for domestic supply chains.
Absolutely. And we saw major movement there just recently. The scale of the U.S. government support is pretty remarkable. The Department of Energy, the DOE, upped its conditional loan commitment back in August. They added another $268 million, bringing the total conditional commitment to a massive $996 million.
Wow, almost $1 billion from the government.
Exactly. Nearly $1 billion in potential non-dilutive government funding. That means they don't have to sell as much stock to raise that portion of the capital.
That must significantly de-risk the funding side we talked about. Does that nearly $1 billion cover most of what they need, or is it still just a piece of the puzzle? How much risk is the government really shouldering here?
It shoulders a very substantial chunk of the risk.
Yeah.
Now, the final total construction costs will likely be higher than that, but getting almost $1 billion conditionally committed from the DOE drastically cuts down how much equity they need to raise from the market. That protects current shareholders from heavy dilution, which is always a concern with developers. It's a huge vote of confidence from Washington, underscoring how important they view this project politically.
Okay, so resource boost, government backing. What's the operational timeline looking like? When might they actually start producing and selling?
Well, management's commentary points towards aiming for that initial revenue, that inflection point, possibly as early as 2026. But, and this is a big but, that depends entirely on getting all the final regulatory approvals buttoned up and, crucially, securing their sales contracts. This is where we really need to watch for what are called off-take agreement announcements.
Off-take agreements.
Yeah.
Right. For listeners who might not know, what exactly is that, and why is an announcement like that so important for a company that isn't selling anything yet?
Sure. An off-take agreement is basically a long-term sales contract signed before production starts. A major buyer, think an EV maker like Ford, GM, maybe a battery company, commits to buying a certain amount of the mine's future output, often for 10, maybe 20 years, usually at some agreed-upon price formula. These agreements are absolutely vital. They guarantee future revenue streams. And banks. They often require these signed deals before they'll release the final slugs of project financing money. Honestly, a solid offtake announcement can be almost as important as getting the final permit in terms of de-risking the project for investors and lenders.
Got it. Huge resource, government cash, potential offtakes. Let's look at how the market itself is reacting. How's the stock actually trading? Let's talk technicals.
Okay, as of October 2nd, the stock, IONR, is trading around $4.30. And it's known for being volatile, right? The 52-week range is pretty wide. $2.30 on the low end, up to $9.35 on the high end.
That volatility definitely underscores the high-risk, high-reward nature we've been talking about.
Yeah. What's the recent trend been like?
Well, after a period of consolidation, the stock has seen a pretty strong upward move. It's up about 29.6% just since mid-September 2025. So it looks like the market has started to seriously digest that big resource upgrade news and the increased DOE loan commitment. The narrative seems to be catching on.
Yeah, and what are the technical indicators saying? Things like moving averages. The technical picture looks, well, pretty bullish right now. If you look at the moving averages, IONR is trading above both its key short-term and long-term lines. The 50-day moving average is around $3.46, and the longer-term 200-day is at $3.69. Being convincingly above both usually signals positive momentum, suggesting the recent upward trend has some support.
Okay, and what about momentum indicators like MACD or RSI? What are they showing?
Good question. The MACD, which tracks momentum, is currently positive. That generally signals upside acceleration. The price is moving up, and the strength of that move is increasing. That's typically seen as bullish. And then there's the RSI, the Relative Strength Index. The 14-day RSI is sitting around 60.87. Now, traders often look for levels above 70 as potentially overbought, meaning a pullback might be due. At just over 60, it shows strong buying interest. But crucially, it doesn't look technically exhausted yet. There seems to be room for more upside, especially if positive news hits.
So putting the technicals and the news flow together, what's the consensus view on the likely trading range maybe over the next few months?
Based on the current setup, the technical consensus seems to favor a, let's say, bullish trading range, potentially between $3 on the low end and maybe $5.15 on the higher end over the next 3 months or so. But, and it's crucial to stress this, the trajectory is highly dependent on news catalysts. Which brings us neatly to what people should be watching out for.
Right, the catalyst. What could move the stock significantly in the short term?
Okay, immediate catalyst, say 0 to 3 months out. First, the ongoing impact of that huge 168% resource upgrade. We'll likely see more analyst reports factoring that in, potentially leading to higher price targets. Second, keep an eye on the Q3 2025 earnings release. That's expected around November 15th. It won't show revenue, obviously, but it will give updates on project progress and, importantly, the cash burn rate.
And permitting. We can't forget permitting.
Absolutely critical. Any news on major regulatory milestones like the final environmental impact statement or EIS or key permit approvals could be huge. Remember, the White House wants to fast-track these domestic projects. A positive, definitive permitting decision would likely cause an immediate price jump. And then, of course, there's always this speculation bubbling under the surface about those big offtake agreements with EV companies. An actual announcement there would be massive.
Okay, that's a solid pipeline of potential good news, but we have to balance that with the risks. Analyst sentiment seems quite high, an overall bullish rating of 8 out of 10 you mentioned. For a pre-revenue company, 8 out of 10 sounds very optimistic. What are the main things that could go wrong?
That rating is high, and it reflects the strategic importance and sheer scale of the resource. But yes, the risks are definitely real and substantial. Number one is development and permitting risk. This is a complex project. Lithium mining, especially out west, faces intense environmental and regulatory scrutiny. Any unexpected delays, legal challenges, or significant cost overruns could push that 2026 production target back, and that would likely hit the stock price hard.
And the need for money, even with the DOE loan.
Correct. Capital requirements risk is still there. They need to finalize that full funding package. If the market turns sour, making it hard to raise the remaining equity or secure the last bit of commercial debt on good terms, their timeline could slip.
And the commodity price itself.
Never forget market risk. Future revenues, whenever they start, are going to be incredibly sensitive to lithium prices. If the lithium market takes a nosedive, the whole economic foundation of the project gets shaky, no matter how much lithium and boron they have in the ground.
Okay, so wrapping up the overall thesis then, ioneer is viewed as this unique, maybe even preeminent way to play the U.S. lithium-boron story. But it's definitely a high-stakes bet.
It really is. It seems attractive potentially for two main types of investors right now. You've got the shorter-term traders maybe looking to play those upcoming catalysts, the permits, earnings updates, potential offtake news, and then you have the longer-term, more patient investors who want exposure to the whole multi-year, maybe multi-decade theme of building out domestic U.S. critical mineral supply chains.
Right. So the crucial takeaway here, the thing you really need to remember, is that ioneer's value today isn't about current earnings. It's tied to getting the project built and the strategic imperative behind it. It's a resource play, not a revenue play yet. So answering that initial question, is it a good time to buy now? It really boils down to your personal tolerance for risk. Are you comfortable with a volatile pre-revenue company that has this massive government-backed potential, but also faces significant hurdles?
Exactly. And maybe here's one last thought, a bit more speculative for you to mull over. Given its strategic Nevada location, that unique dual resource asset, and it's a relatively small market cap, maybe the biggest, most immediate value jump won't even be the start of production in 2026. What if Ioneer becomes a strategic acquisition target? You could see a larger mining company, maybe a major battery materials player, wanting to just buy them outright to get control of that critical U.S. lithium asset quickly.
Ah, the M&A angle.
That possibility, that M&A potential, fundamentally changes the timeline and the risk-reward calculation for anyone holding the stock now. It could happen much sooner than first production.
That's definitely something to keep in the back of your mind, alongside tracking those permits and offtake deals. A potential wild card. Okay, fascinating discussion. Thanks for breaking that down for us. And thank you all for joining us for this analysis. We'll see you next time on Investing Talk Podcast.